I'm going to start at the 5-second mark, and that way I can look at this. All right. Good afternoon, Dr. Casper. My name is Marcello Petrocelli, and my group and I were originally going to be doing the selection process. I was originally going to be the introduction half, but since things have gotten a lot crazy with the COVID and this became an individual project, I'm focusing in on criteria development. But first things first, I do want to kind of explain what the selection process is. It's a methodology where, and it varies from company to company, but there are 5 just key aspects of it. There's criteria development, application resume review, interviewing, test administration, and making the offer. What I'm going to be focusing in on is criteria development. And from what I understand, it is basically creating a mold, creating the perfect, ideal person, the perfect vision of what you want someone to be to fill up this job space. It narrows down everything. It has different levels of like education level, years of experience, their attitude, initiative, other personal characteristics. It just tries to make this perfect, ideal person. So human resources calls these KSAOs, which is knowledge, skills, abilities, and other personal characteristics. And that's what makes them successful at their job, these specific ones. Now, most HR teams develop the criteria they're looking for before they even start looking at resumes. Because having this clear idea in your mind, this perfect person that you're looking for, makes everything way simpler. You can go through resumes a lot quicker, and once you reach the interview process, you can also ask the questions that will determine if they have problem-solving abilities, multitasking abilities, conflict management abilities. But nowadays, most companies are actually striving to use resume softwares that will look through thousands of resumes and just scrub through them looking for keywords and key phrases, and just bringing 1,000 down to like 100, and it makes an HR recruiter's job much easier. The thing is, as something gets more popular, even if it is effective, it can be worked around if it's a program. And when I looked up ATS, which was the program I was initially found, there were dozens of ways for people to try to beat it, to work around it. But this removes a lot of the minimum qualification people from the listings. Now, when you build your criteria for who you want into your organization, it has to be both valid and reliable. Valid means that it is a successful measure at measuring what it's supposed to. So, like an intelligence test should measure intelligence. A driving test measures driving. Reliability is a score about how free a test is from random error. It generates consistent results. So like a vision test should, from Monday to Friday, have the same results. Monday, 2020, Friday, 2020. There should be no discrepancies. Consistency is key in that regard. But with all those other issues like education, experience, and expertise, being the right fit, fitting into the team is also extremely important. And if you are a superstar on your resume, but you lack any sort of social ability, it becomes a lot harder to fit into a team experience. So my own personal example of this was over the summer, I was working for the Rowan Housing Department, and when I went in to apply, I did the application, pretty standard stuff, GPA, like a decent GPA, make sure you're currently enrolled student, things like that. But there are also a lot of essay questions. And these essay questions were all about my character, about who I am. They were about how I would interact with the team and just what I valued and what I wanted. And now I answered them, and then when I went into my interview, I got asked more of those types of questions. I got asked one specifically that made me think I failed. It was about, I think it was about this. Tell me about a time when your personal life and your work life collided. And I told this story about one of my grandparents who was hospitalized when I was working in high school. And when that event happened, I was, of course, panicked and worried, and I told my boss, hey, I can't come in this day, I can't come in the next day, I can't come in for this week, and I just have to keep explaining and saying, I can't be here. And I was like, well, it was more of like a mutual letting go. But when I told that story, I ended it with, I learned that work is important, but I'm always going to pick my family over my work. And a siren just started blaring in my head. I was like, oh, I messed that up. I shouldn't have even said that. I really thought I failed there, and I really thought I was supposed to say something generic and like, hey, I could juggle both, no problem, don't worry about it. But I gave a more honest answer. And later, I found out that to my boss, these behavioral questions, this idea of who I was way more important than any of the education or expertise I have. She wanted to have a good working team because you're working 5 hours in 90-degree weather through multiple buildings, and it's a little stressful, so you need like a good, rounded, helpful team. And once you're done with all of these steps and you've built out your criteria, you have to start getting to the review process. And teams do this in different ways. One group likes to maybe look through all the resumes, find 5 each that they are preferred candidates, and then pick from that like group of 15. Some people like to do it different ways. When you are working along, you want to also watch out for disparate impact and disparate treatment. Disparate impact is unintended discrimination against a protected class, and disparate treatment is not interviewing a candidate because of a perceived issue with their maybe race, gender, or age. And lastly, there's internal and external biases, where an internal one would you maybe perhaps aim towards an internal candidate rather than an external one, where if there's a job opening, rather than opening it up to the whole field, you just are trying to fill it in from your own organization. So that's my presentation. I wanted to try to do it all in one take and give you the most honest one. Probably this is what I would have done in front of class. I covered the selection method, criteria development, validity, and reliability, and that's going to be it. This is over the time now, but I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity. I've never really done an online presentation like this. I hope it all works out. And I really wish things didn't get all crazy with the COVID-19, because I really enjoyed your class. I thought you were an excellent professor. It was always a joy. You had so much, just the vigor, so much life in you that it made every class enjoyable. So I just want to say thank you for the year, and I hope the next class you teach is a lot less chaotic. So I'll see you around, Dr. Casper. Take care.